This is Chris Payne from Euclid, Ohio, and you are listening to BBQ Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike your match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is a show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening live fire, fun, and frivolity show. If this is the week that you are ready to join in, I'm happy to have you through phone calls or emails, and here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, the BBQCentralShow.com. And here's what's happening this evening. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, we were steak heavy last week. We will remain steak heavy, at least for the first interview segment in the first hour. We talked with the 2020 World Champion of Steak at the World Championship that took place about a week and a half ago down in Fort Worth, Texas. And this week, we will be joined by first-timer to the show and your 2020 SCA points champion, Sandy Brown from Stress Relief BBQ. Excited to talk to Sandy. We actually have a Crossing Cleveland connection. Her place of employment is actually headquartered, global headquarters, in the city that I used to live in before we moved to Willoughby over the summer last year in Wickliffe, Ohio, where I lived for 7 years. And then before that, I was literally 50 feet into Euclid from the Wickliffe side. So Sandy works for a company that is globally based in Wickliffe. So that was a unique bit of information, and you continue to learn how small the world is from time to time. So we'll be talking with Sandy Brown coming up in a few minutes from now to recap Team of the Year winnings amongst a bunch of other stuff. Then 35 past the hour, because it is the fourth Tuesday of a month. You know what that means? It is a visit from our fourth Tuesday of the month regular guest in the first hour, Derrick Riches from DerrickRiches.com. There have been some business dealings that have gone on since the last time we talked, not the least of which is Traeger potentially out for sale. Last valued that I heard around the $3 billion mark. So we'll talk to Derrick about that and see if that's overhyped, see if there's any buyers or suitors that he has heard of recently. And then we will also delve into the recent sale of B&B Charcoal to Duraflame. Duraflame also owns Cowboy brand of charcoal, which you can find in some of your big box stores. And a bunch of scuttlebutt over the internet, of course, is now with the sale to Duraflame. Is this going to impact quality? Is this going to mean that B&B is going to be charging a even more premium price than maybe they already are compared to some other brands? A lot of internet speculation, so we'll talk to Derrick and suss out what is true and what is not. We'll also get a first reveal or first look on a gravity-fed charcoal cooker. Similar in concept to Masterbuilt. This one's from Char Griller. And I think over the history of the show, both Derrick and I have given our own thoughts on concepts of Char Griller and Masterbuilt, and then where they actually come together in fruition leaves a little bit to be desired. So we'll see if that's more of the same or if Derrick will have some great new news for us for this first look. And depending on how time goes, we'll talk about grills and cookers that we might suggest as we get into this grilling season, which is now quickly approaching depending on where you are in the country. Then we'll move to the second hour. It is the fourth Tuesday of the month, as I had mentioned just a few minutes ago. And that, of course, brings a visit in the second hour from the embedded correspondence. It's really one of, if not the most popular recurring segment that is going on in the history of the show, recent history of the show. So very excited to have Doug, who is on a staycation, but not at his house. So he's on a kind of a vacation staycation. John Solberg from Michigan and the latest, greatest embedded correspondent, Rusty Monson from the great city of Utah, will all be joining us, and we're ready to get their thoughts on a number of topics. Happy to have you jump aboard as well as you see fit, 216-220-0966 or Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Don't forget you can follow me socially. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat at BBQ Central Show. Facebook and Twitch /BBQ Central Show, where you can find video feeds. You can also find one over at YouTube, which is /RD Rempe. So first off, I want to apologize for and to the masses, and specifically to Marissa Overson for last week's interview. And the audio specifically on my end, it totally bummed me out for days on end, of course. I think we all have come to know my OCD as it relates to sound quality. And to have me coming across to me, totally unacceptable. So again, I apologize to Marissa, the fan base. Again, you know I hold audio to the highest standards, and last week I failed, and I kept with it, because it was a great interview that was going down on her side. So I wanted to own that. I will continue to keep audio quality as the most important core value of the show. Now, that being said, this past Friday morning, because I was so incensed with myself after re-listening back on Thursday, and I'm hoping that some of you enjoyed this little thing that happened. The original audio was uploaded on Thursday, as it normally is. And you could hear when I would talk, I came a lot of the time hot over the top of me in a quick echo. It was terrible. I called it the echo monster back in the day, except it was usually my guest who was listening to themselves in another browser, getting caught up in it, forgetting to shut that window. But this was completely different. And again, it was only on my side. So I got up Friday morning after I listened to it, and I said, you know what? I can fix this. I can make this a much more listenable interview. So I cut out a bunch of the questions that I had asked Marissa that I was getting that immediate feedback and echo from. And I put a whole new bunch of questions and laced them into the conversation. So, of course, the win is you don't hear the echo, and it doesn't make it unlistenable and a hurdle to get to the end. And instead, you get a nice, clean audio segment. And if you want to do a comparison, you didn't hear the first run on Thursday and then get the reload on Friday, go back and listen to the YouTube video audio, or go back and listen to the Facebook where they all archive, and listen to the audio there and hear the echoes that I'm talking about, and then go to the podcast, whether through the website or if you download it on some type of a podcast platform, and listen to how I cut myself out, relayed the questions, not relayed, but re-asked those questions. And the cat's out of the bag at this point. If you never heard the original audio and you just caught it Friday or Saturday over the weekend or whatever the case may be, you probably had no idea. You just thought it was a bomb-ass interview between host and your 2020 steak world champion, because Marissa laid down some great information. But if you were struggling through it on a Tuesday last week, as I was, I can't even believe I made it through the interview. You will understand, as my longest-running embedded correspondent, Doug Scheiding, told me privately through text message, hey, I'm re-listening to the new audio, and I have to tell you, it's like listening to two different interviews. The second one is so much more enjoyable, and I'm getting so much more out of it. It's like the first one was a totally different interview completely, and this one is just so much better, so much more enjoyable, and I'm getting so much more out of it because you don't have those audio hurdles that I continue to rail about. So enjoy the relayed audio take it from there. Listener feedback from Mike. Is it Lukey or Luce or Luke or Luce in Milwaukee, Wisconsin? Hi, Greg. First off, love the show. Really appreciate the production value you put into it. Everything always sounds fantastic. Just wanted to let you know that you've done what my parents have always tried to do, and that is inspire me. I've been in the video production business for the last 20 years, shooting television shows, commercials, and corporate videos. The landscape of the business has changed significantly since then, and with COVID, my business took a big hit, so thought it was time to pivot, and now I'm opening a brick-and-mortar store in Milwaukee called BBQ Supply Company. We've only announced it a couple days ago, and the traction has been overwhelming. We open April 9th, and there's a lot to be done, but we're pretty excited. Anyway, just wanted to let you know that had I not listened to your show, I wouldn't have the knowledge or confidence to even consider something like this, so thank you. Keep up the good work. Keep representing the North Coast. And thanks again, Mike in Wisconsin. Mike, good luck. We wish you success, and we'll be looking forward to some feedback on that opening day, April 9th. Good luck with that. Thank you for writing in, and thank you for listening to the show. Sandy Brown is coming up next. I want to talk to you quickly about the hashtag restaurant challenge that Certified Angus Beef has going on right now. A little encouragement goes a long way. Here are more ways to help your favorite places of eating. First, dine in where safe, or get carry out, or you can buy gift cards, regardless of whichever one you do, if you can. Tip generously, for crying out loud. Then leave a positive comment on social media. A 5-star rating would be favorable. Thank the staff, of course, and then, as we all love to do, because we're foodies, take pictures of your food through social media, post them, tag the place that you got the food from, and then remember to use the hashtag restaurant challenge. And as long as you tag the restaurant, not only are you in for a $100 gift certificate, a weekly drawing, but the restaurant that's tagged is also in for their own drawing for $2,500 that will help the entirety of the restaurant. So once again, dine in where safe or get takeout. Tag the restaurant on social media as you upload your pics and use the hashtag restaurant challenge for your chance to win a $100 gift card. And again, when you tag the restaurant, they have an opportunity to win $2,500 for the restaurant itself. It's exciting. It's great. It's wonderful. You're continuing to eat. You're helping yourself potentially win $100. You could then take that gift certificate, go to the next restaurant, support them, tag them, and try and see if you can't win them $2,500 as well. Challenge.certifiedangusbeef.com. That's challenge.certifiedangusbeef.com. Use the hashtag restaurant challenge. You could win $100. The restaurant can win $2,500. Everybody's winning. It's like Oprah. You get a car, except you get $100 potentially, and they get $2,500. Tag, post, and hashtag restaurant challenge from Certified Angus Beef. We are back with Sandy Brown right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show.
Now's the time on the show where we give stuff away, yeah. It's free and you don't have to pay a thing, that's why it's free, yeah.
All right. You wanted it, you get it back, your chance to win free stuff. Yes, that was me singing the Black Keys, but I made up the lyrics. I got a haul of Cosmos Q's Wing Dust the other day. So, if you want to try Wing Dust, shoot me an email and in the subject line, put Wing Dust. Spell it correctly, Wing Dust. And I will send you a flavor of my choice, free of charge. All you have to do is send me an email, be the first one in, and in the subject line, the email greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. And in the subject line, put Wing Dust. And I will announce the winner here after we are done this evening, and you will get a flavor of my choice sent to you for free. Good luck.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show brought to you by the BBQ Guru, creators of automatic temperature control technology, sellers of ceramic cookers with built-in power draft fans and accessories to make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit bbqguru.com for more information or give them a call at 800-288-GURU. The BBQ Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. All right, we were big on steak last week, and we remain steak forward in this interview segment at least. Joining me now is your 2020 Steak Cook-Off Association Team of the Year winner, an award you picked up at the World Championships just about a week and a half ago. Here to talk about the title and much more is the grill master of Stress Relief BBQ, first-timer to this show. Sandy Brown joins me. Hey, Sandy.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I am fabulous. Appreciate you joining me here this evening. As I had mentioned at the top, little did we know we kind of have this crazy Wycliffe, and if I can get more into the minutia, Wycliffe connection. There's like the only business in Wycliffe is a place called Lubrizol, which happens to be a place that you are, again, employed at.
Yes. I've been working there for about 7 years. And usually if you hear someone who's in Cleveland, Ohio, they have some connection to Lubrizol. So.
Yes, it's a very big employer all over the landscape of Cleveland. So before we get into the steak talk, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little bit of history about yourself and where you live and all that fun stuff.
Sure. I am in Rockford, Illinois. I'm originally, though, from New Jersey, so I consider myself still a Jersey girl. I still actually have that on my license plate. And I work in IT, deal with computers for Lubrizol. And my husband is also in IT, and they could be stressful jobs. So we started doing backyard barbecue just to relieve stress on Sunday afternoons, just watching the smoker low and slow. And in 2017, we started competing in the KCBS circuit. And we started actually at a comp about 10 miles from our house, Heritage Days in Belvedere, Illinois. And we had a chicken call, our very first comp. And as I say, as soon as you get a call, you're hooked. And we were hooked. And we competed only 4 times that year. But we ended the season with an RGC, which was awesome. And then we went into 2018, doing some more competitions and thinking, we'll do these steak competitions that kind of are Friday nights, parts of KCBS. We have nothing else to do hanging out with barbecue family. So we did a couple of SCA events. And my husband and I were both lucky enough to get golden tickets that year. And we went to World Championship. We didn't know anybody in the SCA, but we had a blast. And we also qualified for World Food, went to World Food, had a blast. Didn't do well in either one of those competitions, but had a lot of fun. And then we went for 2019. We're like, okay, we're going to still do KCBS. We enjoy that in our barbecue family. And we like SCA. So we'll kind of do 10 to 15 of each. And in 2019, we wound up only doing 3 KCBS events, and we did 56, 57 SCA events. We had a little bit more success on the SCA side. And so we decided we were going to pursue that a little bit more. And it's also a little bit easier. 1-day events. Not a whole lot of prep at home because they supply the meat, so we weren't having to trim and get all the injection, all the sauces ready. So it's a little easier to pick up and go for the weekend. So we started doing a little bit more on the SCA side, and then for the 2020 season, we said, let's not even fool ourselves. We're just going to go full out with SCA. We're not going to attempt to do a KCBS event this year. And we were successful. Like I said, we haven't sold our Jambo, and so we're not totally giving up barbecue yet. I'm sure we'll make an appearance at a KCBS event, especially Heritage Days in Belvedere, Illinois.
If you wouldn't have experienced the same amount of success at SCA as you guys did, I mean, it was pretty immediate out of the chute. You said Worlds and World Food Championships wasn't that great of an experience from a finishing standpoint, but obviously you liked it enough. But if you had the experience, if you had more success at SC or at KCBS right off the bat, could it be a different story altogether? Could we be talking to the KCBS Team of the Year points race winner at this point instead of the SCA? All right. So just go ahead and disconnect and hop back in. In the meantime, I have a winner for your wing dust. That, of course, is somebody called El Jefe Smoke. Good for you, El Jefe Smoke. First one in, El Jefe, go ahead and re-email me now your shipping information, and I'll make sure that I go ahead and get your wing dust of my choice out to you, and you get that free of charge. El Jefe Smoke, your winner of wing dust, and that's from Cosmos Q. Sandy, we have you back?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
We are having thunderstorms in the Midwest right now, so
I was going to say, I mean, if anybody on the line is and we're having computer problems, you have to be the person that I need to be talking to anyway. So I didn't know if we had to worry about the dark web taking advantage of us for some reason. So so I was asking you about if potentially we could be talking to you about the KCBS Team of the Year winners instead of SCA. Do you think that was a potential option if you would have seen perhaps more success in KCBS right off the bat?
I think so. We still really, though, enjoy doing steaks. Like I said, it's a little bit less prep work. It's typically a one-day event. To be honest with you, the financial investment is a lot less. So we probably still do a little bit of both. And right now, I love how the SCA is really a food sport that's growing and has a family atmosphere. And there's a lot of women that are competing on their own and having great success. So I love to see that. And there's been also a lot of young people. I think there were 6 teenagers that were from 13 to 18 that qualified for Worlds and that cooked at Worlds. So that's really exciting. So to be part of that group and really help grow that sport, I think that's really has interested me a lot in the SCA.
I had asked Brett Galloway last week if he thought if you look back 7 years and then you go ahead and look ahead 7 years, if he thought he would have been here at this point at the stage and the presence that they have right now. And he didn't seem to think that they were going to be as popular as they are now. But as you had mentioned, you're seeing not only your stereotypical males getting out there and cooking, you're seeing a lot of women do it. I don't know if there's a perception that it would be more difficult for women to have their own barbecue teams. A lot of men don't even do it by themselves. Obviously, some do, some prefer it, but to see, and as you said, so that's been the biggest barbecue topic when I was talking a lot about competition barbecue was, okay, well, they're 40s and 50s and 60-year-olds, but where's the next round of competitive barbecue coming from? And there just didn't ever seem to be a really good answer. And here, in this instance, you can see them. They're taking part. Some of them are beating people twice and 3 times their age. And as you said, easy to do. It's not a huge weekend investment, the financial. So there's a lot of great things that are going on at this point. Brett also mentioned that even though they had to cancel 181 events last year, which kind of blew my mind, he thought they still benefited from competition barbecuers coming over to take a few stabs at SCA. And I imagine that once they see what it's all about, if they hadn't done it for, and you could probably attest, that hook sets pretty quick, right?
Oh yeah. We saw lots of what I would call our barbecue family that we hadn't seen maybe for a while, and they weren't able to compete, starting to compete in the SCA side of it and becoming part of the SCA family. And they had success, with it and enjoyed it. And I see them, we if we're not competing, we're trying to watch live awards and we're following results and stuff like that. And we're seeing a lot of comps on Friday night.
Working through storms and other great stuff here on the Barbecue Central show. So let me ask you, if we look back over championship weekend, you collect your 2020 SCA Team of the Year award that you earned during last season, obviously. So it was certainly a year to remember for any number of reasons, that being 2020. But how do you recap 2020 from an SCA perspective? What are the things that really stand out to you about that year?
It was a crazy long year. And the year started, actually, the 2020 season started after the Worlds, which was held in the beginning of October of 19. So typically they had their World Championship in October, and that Sunday afternoon would start with the Classic. And I think I got fourth in that. So I started the season off with a really good placing, and I was actually the only cook that was on the top 10 list the entire season, which is a huge accomplishment, especially with the amount of competitors and great competitors that we have. And so we had competitions through October, November, December, January, February. And then in March, we were actually in Australia for meat stock, and we were supposed to compete in SCA there. And that's when COVID kind of really hit and changed, and meat stock got canceled. We were actually at meat stock starting to set up. Oh. And the promoter's like, hold off, you might not want to unpack yet. And we got word that meat stock was canceled. And there was actually 8 of us, 8 U.S. SCA cooks that were there. And, we were disappointed, and a lot of the Australians were disappointed. And someone kind of raised his hand. He goes, hey, I got, an acre, 2 acres, about an hour outside of Melbourne, and we could have an SCA event in my backyard. And we pulled it together, and we had sheep stock, as it was called. And we had a blast, and it was quite a memorable experience. Actually, 3 of us cooked on the same grill. Nice thing with SCA, they allow more than one person to use a grill. You can't cook at the same time. So my husband and I, for a number of seasons, we actually cooked on the same grill. But at Sheepstock, it was actually my husband, myself, and Matt Overson, who was the 2019 points champion. We all cooked on the same grill, but had a blast. Luckily, made it back from Australia right when the borders were shutting down. And similar to KCBS, we had SCA shut down with COVID. And there was no competitions kind of halfway through March, none in April. And then in May, they started to pick up again with a lot of safety precautions put in place during cook's meeting and steak selection and turn-ins and how our judges were seated and so forth. And then once events started being placed on the calendar, my husband and I hit the road. We actually competed every single weekend from May 1st through December 31st. We actually cooked New Year's Eve. And so it was 107 events, 55,000 miles. It was long. It was a lot of fun. Great competitors, and we met so many great people along the way and helped a lot of charities. Not everybody knows, but the SCA does a lot of charity work, and a lot of our events are for charities. A lot of veterans, we deal with the Veterans Children's Hospital, Steaks for Sheepdogs. One of my favorite is Hope Landing, which is in Arkansas, which helps children with disabilities, and that's a great fundraiser. So it was a long, fun, exciting year. 2020 was crazy for so many different reasons, but it was a good, significant one for me and my husband, I should say. So I finished as U.S. points champion, and my husband finished as reserve champion. It's the first time a husband and wife finished 1 and 2.
Sandy Brown joining me here on the show from Stress Relief BBQ, your 2020 SCA points winner, and as she had mentioned, her husband finishing a reserve, as we would say, in the barbecue world. So let me recap those past 2 years and reading it back to you. First full year SCA, 7th place in points in 2019, 8th place in points for your husband, 55 comp, 6 wins, 25 top 10s, female cooker of the year. competed in 16 states, and traveled a small 45,000 miles. And then last year, U.S. points champion with a record-breaking 481 points. Only cook to be in the top 10 the entire season. You had mentioned a couple minutes ago. 107 comps, 36 top 5s, 56 top 10s. Most wins in the season with 8. Female cooker of the year again for the second year in a row. Placed in the top 10 world championships. Your husband is the reserve points champion. Competed in 14 different states. And then, as you had mentioned, 55,000 miles. When you hear it back, does it seem like incredibly overwhelming, or did it go by in the blink of an eye, even given everything that happened last year?
It was almost a sense of normalcy for us. Sometimes when we were able to kind of go out to comps versus, we did quarantine quite a bit. And actually my husband and I both have been working from home since we came back from Australia. We've never gone back to our offices. So it kind of gave us out. Because we do it together, there's a lot of balance there. I will say from Thanksgiving to Christmas, it was tiring. There was, I think, 18 new comps put on the calendar in December just because the points chase got that competitive. And we drove to Texas, I think, 3 out of 4 weekends, and that was long. But there was so much SCA family support. We were, people knew that we were on the road driving through the night, and people would call us. Hey, how you guys are doing? You guys got this. Keep going. We're cheering you on. Just to give us the strength to kind of continue on with the journey. It was a long year, but it was awesome. I wish we had the video. I have a really big Super Bowl ring, which I'm super excited for. And I also get a trip. The U.S. points champion does get a trip. We're not quite sure yet. We're working some of the details out with Ken and Brett from the SCA on where we're going. Just again, kind of watching with COVID, but I'm sure it's going to be an awesome trip.
All right, Sandy. So I hate to do this, but we've run out of time here. Technical issues have scavenged some time from us. But what I would like to do is get together with you off air when the show ends, so we can quickly reschedule you again for a Tuesday coming up, maybe next week, or depending on how it works for your schedule, because I still have a lot of steak process to talk and a little bit more recap of 2020, of course, and then your title win. So if that's amenable to you, I will touch base with you after the show, and we can get you right back on.
I would love to come on. I love talking about the SCA, and thank you so much for having me, and sorry for the technical difficulties.
No problem. We will get it worked out, and we will have you on again soon. Thanks so much for coming on, Sandy.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
You got it. There she is. Your 2020 SCA points champ. I mean, there's so many dynamics there that I didn't get to. But I will turn her back quickly so we can go ahead and finish up that conversation. Trooper hanging with me through those technical difficulties. Hopefully, there aren't the same technical issues in Austin, Texas. Derrick Riches is in the green room. I will talk to you quickly about Primo Cookers. The website, of course, primogrill.com, not grills, grill. What do we know about Primo at this point? The shape, key differentiator, the shape. It's oval, yes. Does it give you true two-zone cooking because it's oval? Yes. Do the round ones say they give you two-zone cooking? Yes. But do they really? I don't think so. These are things you can only achieve when the size is different, like an oval. So you can get all the coals over to one side, have a fireside. You can have a completely vacant side. And my purpose, let's say it's the left side. Put your meat on top of the void, where you can do a little reverse sear, and then when you're ready, you can crack open that bottom vent all the way. You can have the top all the way open, and away you go. Now you're searing, you're locking in the juices and all the other stuff that people say that you're doing that you're not. But you have that opportunity with a Primo because of the shape, the oval shape. There's more than 60 cooking configurations, if you can believe it or not. It's made in the USA. It's got precision-controlled manufacturing. It's got the highest quality ceramics you can get in a ceramic cooker as well. New product updates for 2021 available right now here in the spring. A new easy lift hinge, which reduces the force to lift the grill head by 70%. So now you don't have to take Winstrol and whey supplements in order to muscle up the head of that grill. Much easier now. All the upgrade kits are available. You can upgrade your existing Primo with all of these new features. If you have one, you can visit a local dealer to see product improvements for yourself and then make those upgrades at that point. Again, the website, primogrill.com. That's primogrill.com. You can find your dealer locator over there as well. You can find them on the Instas at Primo Ceramic Grill, and you can find them on Facebook, Primo Ceramic Grills. PrimoGrill.com, and Derrick Riches is coming up next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Now's the time where we give stuff away. People give us stuff on the show to give away at no money for you. That's why it's free. Send an email on its way when I tell you to. That's why we give stuff away.
Oh, just when you thought the giveaways were over? No. No less than 2 giveaways this hour. I told you I got a lot of Cosmos Q Wing Dust. El Jefe Smoke was your first winner. I'm looking for winner number 2. By the way, I didn't preface this in the first giveaway. I'm assuming El Jefe Smoke is in the United States. So if you don't live in the United States, sorry. Move here and you can win Wing Dust if that isn't motivation enough to get over here to the States. Shoot me an email and in the subject line put Sandy Brown, and I will give you a selection of my choice of Cosmos Q's Wing Dust. Cosmos Q, that's Cosmo with a K and Q at the end, cosmosq.com. You can get yourself some if you don't win. But shoot me an email right now, and in the subject line put Sandy Brown, and I will give you your Wing Dust. We'll announce the winner here in a little bit. Good luck.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central show.
I got to tell you, I forgot how awesome those promos were for the giveaways. I really nailed the lyrics. This portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one quality source for wood pellets. For all of your pellet-driven cookers, visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also visit amazon.com as well, as we effort Chris Becker on this show again at some point. He's very busy, so he'll get to me when he can get to me. All right, it's the 4th Tuesday of the month, and that means a visit from the most respected barbecue journalist in the game, that, of course, being Derrick Riches, and I have my fingers and toes crossed, praying to baby Jesus himself that we don't have the same technical issues that we had with Sandy. Derrick, are you there?
I think so.
Thank God.
Does this sound like I'm here?
Prayers answered. Well, I mean, she started out like a house of fire, and then 4 or 5 minutes in, it was all over. But we're going to chalk it up to thunderstorms tonight. You're not having any thunderstorms in Texas, are you?
Last night, yeah.
All right. Well, doesn't count last night. It's all about tonight.
Yeah.
Breaking news, Derrick.
A Barbecue
Breaking
Central
news?
Show
Okay.
exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, where we break all of the breaking news that is currently breaking across the land. It appears Derrick Riches has had a sit-down, as we say in the Cosa Nostra, with the longest-running embedded correspondent, Doug Scheiding. So, spill the beans, Derrick. How was it?
It was very nice. It was quite pleasant.
Quite pleasant. What does that mean? That means
Yes.
he left a little something to be desired? He didn't knock your socks off or what?
Well,
go ahead. You can be honest.
Well, we talked for about 4 hours, so I think it went well.
All right. It's a budding love affair, perhaps, in a barbecue way.
Well, his wife was there, so.
Yes. Oh, what are you talking about? All
We were
right.
chaperoned.
There is something going on here in a barbecue way. So have you corresponded with Doug in the past, or is this like the first time that you've ever really talked one way or the other?
Yeah, no, I think this is the first time we've really met and talked, and, he's got a lot of good stories to tell, and I might have said a few things.
What was your biggest takeaway from the meeting?
He's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. Knows a lot of stuff, knows a lot of people.
Was I right? Is he much taller and bigger than you would give him, than you think he might be?
Not unusually tall. Not uncomfortably tall.
No, not
he was,
like
he was appropriately tall.
Not Tim what's his name over there at the place. Oh, Christ. What's his name? The competitive barbecuer, Tim something or other. I can't think of his name right off the top of my head for some reason, but he's 6'8".
Jamie Purveyance is too tall.
That's right. I remember you saying that. So.
Yeah.
All right.
He's too tall.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, you're giving the initial sit down
9.5.
Wow.
Let's go with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very little to get to the precipice. So Derrick Riches joining us here, of course, from DerrickRiches.com. A couple business items to talk about before we do the first look at the Char Griller gravity feed charcoal grill. Number one is, I'd say, maybe right after we had got done with I think that's terrible. After we had finished our segment last month, Traeger seemed to be out for sale. You had kind of alluded to that as the year was closing. You'd also perhaps mentioned that Weber might be out for sale as well. But Traeger definitely out. And something that staggered me, and I don't necessarily know how these things are evaluated or formulated, but there was a number thrown out as far as evaluation of Traeger in the neighborhood of $3 billion. So is that just a number thrown out? Is there some meat behind that, to pardon a pun? What do you think?
Well, this is put out by the principal owner of Traeger, AEA Financial, old money group. They basically saying that they're looking for a sale price of north of $3 billion. I think what they're kind of saying is that if they can get that range, then that's what they want to go to. But they don't want to come out and say, "Hey, let's go fishing." You don't want to do that because it looks bad. If nothing happens and it kind of makes it seem like Traeger isn't worth as much as they thought it was, then it's bad PR for them. Traeger probably did over $500 million in total revenues last year. They had about 20% bump, and considering that they were having trouble keeping product in supply, they probably could have done more. This is a 6-factor valuation. So that's high, but it's kind of something's worth what other people will pay for it. And if you think about it, Traeger has good brand recognition, large distribution. They're well known. They're kind of, coming up in the industry. And if you compare it to, say, Yeti, publicly traded company, currently valued over $6 billion.
Wow.
$3 billion's not, it's, I wouldn't pay that much for it, certainly, but they got a chance at it.
So you could be falling into and this will probably dovetail into the next topic of the sale of B&B Charcoal. Traeger potentially could be benefiting from a robust live fire year last year.
Yeah, the financial people are kind of referring to it as the COVID bump. The businesses that prospered from all the lockdowns and all that sort of stuff. So, anything that would be associated with home cooking or, anything like that seems to be valued much higher than it was, say, a year ago. So, yeah, certainly Traeger's benefiting from that. I don't know what kind of sale price we're looking at B&B Charcoal. And I'm not sure that that's kind of the motivation on there. I mean, I'm sure that the people at B&B Charcoal got money, and I'm sure they're probably happy with it.
Undoubtedly.
But I think for them, it's kind of more a merger that makes sense. Duraflame has a wide range of products now, and they've got a really big distribution network, and they can arrange for, a lot of savings. So I've had some conversations, and I'd like to point out, this isn't official. Duraflame has not issued a statement stating that they bought B&B Charcoal. We know it has because people inside B&B Charcoal have said, yeah, Duraflame bought us. So there's no naming of names. It's not technically an official thing. But the conversations I've had so far are that, one, B&B, the shipping costs are down. They're distributing to a larger network already. And so there's already cost savings going to B&B Charcoal. So, it's a win for them.
There was a lot of scuttlebutt and speculation as this was making the rounds a couple weeks ago that people were worried that our loyal B&B fans, the way it has been, that the sale would somehow potentially wreck quality or would jack the price up, or because Duraflame also is the owner of the Cowboy brand of charcoal. So now you have two different charcoal lines. Do you see a thinning of the herd where Duraflame might use Cowboy in only certain retails and B&B? So you would have, let's say, the entry-level Cowboy charcoal, but then you have a more premium product being B&B, and each one is allocated into different retail outlets?
Well, I mean, certainly to them, it's got to be a purchase that makes sense. They're not going to buy something that's going to be solely in competition with one of their other products. The big strong point for Cowboy Charcoal is that it has access to Whole Foods. So, and that's, the biggest value for that. B&B Charcoal has a good reputation. It's a Texas favorite. So, there's a lot of people that, they love the product and they're going to be supportive of it. So that gives it a lot of, brand recognition and popularity that way. How it gets the distribution works out, I don't know that that's all figured out at this point. I mean, we could be looking at kind of regional issues. Cowboy could be more of a Western product or more of a Northern product, and B&B could go to different regions. But I think that what we're going to see is that Cowboy is going to be kind of more of your base brand. It's going to be more of your discount store, more big box, whereas B&B might be more specialty marketer, different avenues that way. Those questions aren't being answered yet. So we don't know a whole lot, but it's B&B's, it's a good brand, and I don't think that Duraflame wants to ruin it. And I think that, on the kind of that issue, people are angry at Duraflame for what they think is destroying Cowboy Charcoal. And I think people aren't entirely correct on that fact. Cowboy Charcoal had a reputation for being a little hit and miss in the past. They did a lot of waste wood products, so wood molding and a lot of that sort of stuff. And they switched to, scrap wood and those items. But they were also pushing for the Whole Foods distribution, and Whole Foods has certain requirements for sustainability and green agriculture and those sort of things. And I don't think it's necessarily Duraflame's fault. And it's just kind of a number of factors. And I don't think that sort of those sort of issues are going to come up with B&B Charcoal.
Derrick Riches joining us here on the show, DerrickRiches.com, his website. And so a couple different things we're going to need to wait and see. Duraflame is going to have to come out and make some kind of an official statement that they actually did make the buy.
That would be nice.
And then we'll see how B&B continues through distribution and if any of this internet scuttlebutt is worthwhile or if it's just going to flame out because things stay the same or potentially only get better. And we'll see how that goes here in the months to come. To finish out this evening, let's take a first look at this Char Griller gravity feed charcoal grill and how it would stack up to, I guess, what would be tantamount to its only competition at this point being the Masterbuilt that was released probably going on a couple years ago. And as I had said in the open of the show, we've been fans of companies like Charbroil and Chargriller and Masterbuilt conceptually. We've lost a little bit of chutzpah with them when they actually put rubber to the road and release stuff into the market. So how does this particular effort come out from a concept, and then how does it come out from an actual physical being?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's when Masterbuilt came out with the gravity feed, they got a lot of press and they got a lot of coverage, and a lot of people kind of love the idea of it. You're absolutely right. Masterbuilt, Charbroil, Chargriller, they have a problem with going from, hey, this is a great idea, to can we make something that works really well and people will keep for years and years. The Chargriller really, they've kind of become just, one, they push big box mass market stuff. Their quality has been declining for quite a while. And this is just, okay, I'll just say a blatant ripoff, really.
Wow.
Because functionally, there's nothing new here. They haven't changed anything. All they've really done is retrofitted one of their standard barrel style grills with this charcoal gravity feed combustion accelerated Wi-Fi enabled system, which is really kind of a stretch for them. I mean, this is them jumping into a technology they've never tried before, and not necessarily with a lot of backing. Masterbuilt, of course, had been acquired by Dominus Equity, which put them with Kamado Joe. So there was a bigger pool of knowledge to kind of draw from. Chargriller, it's actually A&J Manufacturing, and they're headquartered basically in the back of a warehouse. It's we draw stuff up, we get it made, we get it shipped to stores. So, it's not, I don't see it as a great product, and I kind of have concerns about how its technology is going to work in the real world. And, there's those issues, but, they know what they're doing. They're jumping in at $600 price point. So they're undercutting Masterbuilt, and in a pretty reasonable size. It's 960 square inches, so it's a bit smaller than Masterbuilt's larger unit, and considerably less money. So it'll be on a lot of storeroom floors, and we'll just kind of have to see if people get suckered into it a bit.
I was going to say, this is a specific instance of you're going to get what you pay for.
Very much so.
Yeah.
But that's kind of been the way with Chargriller for a while. I mean, 10 years ago, they had some interesting ideas and a more solid construction, but it's been diminishing pretty steadily over the years.
Are they potentially in danger of getting caught up in this whole Traeger Green Mountain Grill thing, depending on how that shakes out with Wi-Fi and all that other stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, technically, but, it depends on how that court case goes. If it actually gets anywhere, everyone could get wrapped up in that. So,
I mean, should manufacturers, if they're thinking about launching something this season, hold for the moment? Is that a better play, or do you think they just want to go out with it and take the risk?
I don't think anyone's going to hold back, because I don't think anybody thinks it's going to stand. The real issue, and the one that nobody has brought up with, is that the patents should be attacked in the patent courts for being too broad and non-specific. I think any patent court will just shoot it down at that point. Why that hasn't happened yet is simply because nobody's in a rush. If we're not going to see a court case on this happening until the fall. Right. So, but I think before that happens, somebody's going to step up and throw their lawyers at it, maybe a Weber or a Danson or something like that, and probably be able to squash it in a couple of months. So, but yeah, I mean, anybody who's doing Wi-Fi enabled anything at this point is kind of under that blanket.
All right. Well, we'll see how that works out as well. You can see Derrick Riches right here on the fourth Tuesday of every month. In the meantime, visit him over at DerrickRiches.com. Derrick, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Hey, see you next month.
All right, there he is, Derrick Riches, doing his thing, saying caveat emptor when it comes to the char griller, as Derrick said, knockoff of the Masterbuilt. Not known to mix words, which is why we appreciate Derrick coming on the show and sharing what he knows. By the way, we do have a winner of the Cosmos Q's Wing Dust this time around, that being somebody by the name of Inns Keepspitter. Inns Keepspitter? It would have been somebody by the name of Brian Ashman, or Ashman, except he put wing dust in the subject line when I said Sandy Brown. Remember, you have to listen and act accordingly in order to win wing dust. So if you know who Inns Keepspitter is, if I'm talking directly to you, Wally, Inns Keep. Sorry, now that I'm hovering over it. Wally, you won. So you can also send me your shipping info, and I will send you out a pack of my choice of Cosmos Q's Wing Dust. Man, it feels great to be giving stuff away again. We're back right after this.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And this portion brought to you by Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Pro, Fireboard 2 Drive. You can monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. You can connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via Bluetooth. And if you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're fully in luck. Fully in luck? Or you're just in luck, because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. That's 816-945-2232. Ted Conrad and the gang over there at Fireboard. They actually have a really cool 1 minute, I think it ends up being like 3 or 4 minutes, of explaining the thermocouple, the Fireboard 2 Pro, over at fireboard.com. So watch that interview as they show you that thing is taking 11 or 1200 degrees in the Uni pizza oven. So if you're worried about can it take the high heat, yes, it can. By the way, when I was talking with Derrick about who the tall guy named Tim is, I meant Tim Shear, of course, from Shake and Bake Barbecue, the self-proclaimed world's tallest barbecue man. I might get that wrong, but something along those lines. He's 6'8" or whatever. Very tall. Rave reviews about Doug and Derrick's first date. 9.5 out of 10. So there's certainly going to be a follow-up after that. I wonder who's going to reach out to who first and thank them for the time. That's what I want to know. Who's going to thank me for the time, everybody? Really enjoyed meeting you. Let's do it again soon. Call me if you want. All right, we will refresh libations, and we will be off to the second hour. You are listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. Be right back.